Tell me when I'm on. All right. Hi. So we're going to pull Stella. This is going to be video 2 on a jumpy mouthy dog because not all jumpy mouthy dogs look the same. Their kennel presence isn't the same. Their size isn't the same. And the behavior isn't always the same. But the handling is very similar. So we're going to use her as our demo dog today. So if you want to take a look, she has the most deceiving kennel presence you'll ever see. She's very lovely. She's a very lovely dog in general, but this is how she sits here. She's ready to go out. She's all wiggles. She comes out nice. Here we go, Stella. All right.
So please notice that she is not choking the dog out. She is just following the leash when Stella is jumping like that. She's doing some leash biting. We're just going to slow it down a little bit. There we go. Play a little find it. Gets her to do something else. The jumping, you see.
We don't need to go that way because
There's people over there. So we are going to take her somewhere else so we're not getting her hyper aroused being around a lot of activity. Playing some find it.
I'm going to shorten the leash to pass a person and not let her go up to them and jump all over them.
Right, so meeting people excites her, so we're just going to kind of go about our way. Nice shake off there, Stella.
I'm going to let her sniff because she wants to use her nose.
Yep, we're not going to force her away right now. I am not feeding into that. I'll stay back a little bit. She's very strong as well. So we have not tried a Weiss Walkie or anything on her. I don't think that would do well with her.
Nope, she does not like a lot of contact. We tried. When we got the collar on her, she didn't like us touching her face. So she's not really a great candidate for a lifeline.
Yeah, trying to put a life. I was thinking of that too.
Because I wanted to try it, but I feel like that would just be...
Amp her up even more.
Okay.
Good girl.
She had to pee. We're blocking traffic.
It's all right.
She's a city girl. All I'm doing is helping her get her nose down.
Just playing some find it. Just tossing the treats on the ground. Lots of snacks on the ground, giving her something to do other than looking at the person, biting at the leash, letting her sniff. You see how aroused she is? Tail is way up. Her body is tense.
Her muscles are popped. See all the muscles in her body.
Yep, she is very hyper aroused right now. So if we're aroused, all that's going to do is amp her up. So you would think that you might want to drop the leash and let her run. I would not do that. I'm just going to kind of let her sniff. Be interesting. She has a toy in her mouth. I'm not going to try to take it. Let her carry it around. I'm not going to give her toys. Thinking that, oh, well, she'll mouth that. I don't want to amp her up.
And they will. Toys and sticks are very exciting to her. You'll
She's-
see that.
This anxious pacing that she's doing.
And if you notice when I talk to her, I'm not loud, I'm not excited. I'm just kind of like, I'm almost, not whispering, but almost. If I wasn't doing the video, I wouldn't be talking at all, and I wouldn't be talking this loud, because that just adds. So with these kind of dogs, you have to be very conscious about anything you're adding. Your body movement, your voice, anything in the environment. So even though she's a dog that I'm not going to maybe drop the leash with her on, I'm still going to bring her back here because there's less going on for her to see and get excited about.
Right.
Because the goal, you know, is for her to be better on the leash. so that somebody will take her home. And if I just bring her in here and let her run wild, then that's what she's going to think we do when we go outside, which is kind of what she does when she first comes out. It takes her a minute to get her bearings and to not be wild. The way that I was holding the leash when we came out, defensive handling, I'm using my second hand to keep it short and keep my arm out. If she's away from me, and she can't put her mouth on me.
Right. And we're not choking her up. We're just, if she jumps, we kind of follow it. I don't know how else to explain that part.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'm sure she'll give me a reason to do it again. But yeah, it's not a leash correction. It's not choking her. It's keeping myself safe so that she can't make contact with me no matter what. She's a strong dog, so it takes, you know, you stepped in poop. That's okay. That's okay. I'll have to clean that up later.
Put it down, poop bag for me. She's starting to slow down a little bit. And even when they do slow down, they may just perk right back up too. So just, you know, we stay steady and it helps them.
It's like that. It's not an opportunity for me to be like, oh, let me get a photo, let me cuddle her, let me touch her. Because she's not in a relaxed position right now. If you look at her tail, it is going a mile a minute.
Look at the whole front of her body. She is ready to do that.
Yeah, she is ready to launch.
So she, yes.
So it's important to look at what their bodies look like. And when you see all the muscles popping, whether it's friendly or not, they're in a ready state. They are ready to go. And they have a ton of tension. She's taking this toy, he's trying to reduce some tension. That's what that is. And then just shake, shake, shake like that. I will say, she is a very lovely dog. She's very sweet. She has wonderful.
She's a great character.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun.
She's just very aroused.
She finds other dogs to be very arousing as well. She is, I would say, dog friendly, but more of a some dog kind of dog. So I wouldn't have her in side-by-side pens with other dogs, because if the other dog doesn't like her, her reaction's not going to be great. So if you're out with her and you're in a pen and somebody comes out with a dog, just ask them to please not drop their leash and to leave the area. And if you're ready to leave, then they can come into the other pen. Because what you don't want to do is try to grab her wild and trying to go at the other dog. Even if it's play, you don't want her to turn around and put her mouth on you, because they're excited and they're just going to grab the first thing that's next to them.
So we can take a fistful of treats and just kind of toss them and let her find them.
Yep.
You want to take a few and kind of put them out so I can put this poop in the trash.
Yep.
Without, because lifting the trash can is probably going to excite her.
She's really excited about that poop bag.
Yeah. Right? She's doing something else while I'm making a scene over here, dropping the lid. But she doesn't even care, right?
Yep, she's fine now. Not the deal. Always get her very excited, so it brings that arousal level right up.
And if the walk just consists of walking back and forth in the pen like this, throwing treats for her, just kind of scavenge around, and that's great. This is not about us trying to touch her, pet her, love her up, because right now that's too much for her. Too much. We're not out here asking her to do things like sit and all that. Just be careful with all of that when you're walking a dog, because we want them to be able to choose things.
Right. And really, it's just kind of letting them be and getting to know the dog, remembering that you may have walked them today, but maybe if you don't come back for a couple weeks, it might be different. So just focusing on letting them be a dog. Don't ask them for a bunch of stuff, because a lot of times you just can't do it. It's too much.
Right. And when they're in this frame of mind, trying to ask them to do things puts just added pressure on what they're already feeling about being in the environment itself.
And you can see her mouth is soft when she takes the treats. Like, she doesn't have a hard mouth. She just doesn't know that she is as big as she is.
And if she offers you a sit like that, that's great, right? We want to tell her to go. Not gonna. This is just a safe way of handling a jumpy, mouthy dog, letting them have some fun, trying to keep it as natural as possible, yet you're not putting yourself or the dog in a precarious situation, right? She's sniffing a lot more now, which is great.
And let's say I'm out here by myself and she poops. And then she's all excited about the fact that we pooped. I'm gonna leave the poop and I'm gonna come back for it. And if I don't find it, it is not the end of the world. It is poop. Somebody will find it. But I'm not going to put myself at risk trying to wrestle with her and pick up poop if she's jumping on me. Right. I'm just going to be like, oh well, and we're going to leave it and I'll come back for it. And that's something, you know, to think about when you're out here by yourself. You're going to have to turn it up.
Yeah, it's 12 minutes.
Yeah, which is plenty.
This is minute 12 of our walk together.
And she's already calmer, but she's excited about Carolyn.
Yep, I'm holding chicken in my hand.
She wants Carolyn's food.
Good, right? There we go. So Stephanie's using cheddar cheese, and I have chicken nuggets that are cut up. Stephanie brought with her. Sometimes if we can stop and pick up, you know, something different rather than just the hot dogs and string cheese. We'll have meatballs sometimes, something a little different for them. That can go a long way.
I'm not using a lot, it's just one piece.
Yep.
And you'll notice, like, with her, I'm not saying find it. I'm not throwing it. I'm letting her see it so she understands what I'm doing. Because she's so wild that when you throw stuff, it just excites her. So it's just like...
So now, do you see the escalation? I want to point this out. The escalation in her hyperarousal right now, because this is where we are, right? So we're starting to come into an active area. So we're going to slow it down a little bit. Because you see, this is anxious pacing. This is anxious, like, see all that, right? So now maybe we'll take a few steps back into a calmer area. We're going to arm ourselves and be ready to just toss on the ground as we move into a more active area that overstimulates her.
And to think about, like, it didn't occur to me until working with Ziggy more recently that they can hear and see the highway from here. Yeah. So it seems like white noise to us because we see it all the time, but it's actually very arousing to dogs because they're just watching cars zoom by. Yep. And it's just adding more to their environment. So it seems like this is quiet because there's nobody out here, but there's a lot happening.
There's a lot of activity, yeah. Especially this time of day, too.
Yeah.
On a Friday.
So I kind of let her see what's happening, what I'm dropping. If I drop some, it's all right. If somebody will get it. No, you're done with that? And you can see it. She's like, oh, I want to go in there. Did you get my little mirror? Come on.
Much better on this return.
Yep.
Right?
Come on.
There we go. So it's okay if you start to see that over arousal with these jumpy, mouthy dogs. Back up to a quieter area and reset yourself. Get yourself ready to tackle the more active environments so that your dog can be better. This is much better, right? Good shake off.
I want to say something too about my arm. So I'm going to do it for like a second, but I don't want her to like pull my shoulder. I'm not like this with her. My elbow's bent and my arm is in, so I have control of this dog. And that's really important with all this kind of behavior, because if you lose control, she's just going to take you down. She's a strong dog, and a lot of times we just kind of do this, and we're just like running behind the dog, and it's just adding. That's adding.
That's right.
So here we have a trash truck. That's
great.
A big add.
Right, here's a big trash truck. But look how she's taking that. Good girl. She chose to walk away.
So yeah, so arm into the gut.
Good. Look at that, how calm she is. So I just want to add to what Stephanie said about the arm. It is harder for a dog to pull your whole body than it is your arm, or what I consider your noodle. Your arm is a noodle, right? Those of you who have taken walking classes with me know that I talk about that a lot. Because the more we shake our noodle, the more it excites a dog. We chose to go this way because it's quieter, because of the trash trucks. Wonderful, beautiful.
I'm not going to take her to the side yard and the front yard because typically customers are there and there's a lot more happening. So that was very intentional, even though those people kind of helped us out that were sitting there with the dog. Put my mask on. And we're going back in. I hold on to my knot to ensure a leash. And then here, you have to just watch all this stuff that's here.
Yeah, it should be going away soon. Much
And
calmer.
especially just because she tries to grab stuff.
Yep.
She's like, oh,
Good girl. So we're not dragging her. I hope you saw that. We did not pull her or drag her from Kennel 1. We used food to lure her and help her choose to go back into her kennel.
she typically grabs the leash and does all this other nonsense. So I'm going to get a handful of food right there by the door so I can get my leash out.
Great. Perfect. Great job. All right. That is walking a dog like Stella.